Hey guys, it's your girl Red Velvet, and you are watching O Face Wrestling.
Namaste, everybody. It's the Queen Incarnate, the Savage Beauty, the International Face Kicker Sahara 7, and you're watching O Face Wrestling Podcast.
Hey, it's your Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, Trish Adora, and you are watching O-Face Wrestling.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling. This is your host JT, and today I am joined by the former MCW Women's Champion, Aria Palmer. So thanks for joining us today, Aria.
Yeah, no problem.
So Aria, I've seen a couple of your matches at MCW, and I've been wanting you on the show for a while, so I'm really excited to have you. So let's get this interview started. So the first question, I'm going to skip a few of the questions I usually ask at the very beginning. So at Winter Blast back in January, you competed in the first ever women's chair match at MCW. Tell me a little bit about that match. Like, what was your mindset going into that match?
It was like a tough do because in my mind, I also knew that it was like the first MCW Women's Chairs match, so I was really excited to have the opportunity to like be involved in that. I was obviously nervous, but I feel like that comes with any kind of match that's like you have weapons in it.
Mm-hmm. So how did it feel at the very end of the match when you were put through the chairs? Like, I know that had to have been pretty painful.
It was horrible, honestly. Yeah, it hurt a lot. I actually had an appointment already scheduled the next day for like a masseuse to like help me. Yeah, so it was rough though. I had a hard time like walking too, and my back was bruised.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know they had to carry you out after that match. So I'm like, it's kind of one of the things, like, I hope, she's okay, but it's like, is this part of the show? It's always scary as a fan. Like, you never know if it's, real or not. Obviously, you knew it was painful, but just, how painful. Because, I mean, when I interviewed Gia, she had mentioned that the one chair was like falling off, and the referee just put it back in line at the very last second. So God knows what would have happened if he wouldn't have fixed it. But yeah, that was definitely very, dangerous, and I'm glad you're okay after that. How long did it take after that to kind of recover?
So I don't know if you saw, you probably didn't, but when I went through the chairs, I hit like the top part of it on my ankle. So when I went, like the chair's like this, and my ankle just went right on it. So like walking took like a couple days. Like I could still walk, but I would limp and stuff. And then like my back, it healed over time. But honestly, like I got like cupping done and stuff like that. So it was so painful when it got done, but it helped. So that probably lasted about a couple of days too.
Okay, yeah, because me and my wife noticed at like the very end during the main event when all the wrestlers came out to surround the ring during the MCW Championship match, you weren't out there, so we're like, okay, that's not really a good sign, because it was all the heels were out there, the faces. It wasn't just all the faces or anything like that. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm glad you're okay, because I know anytime you do any kind of stipulation match with weapons and all, there's always the factor of potentially getting hurt really bad.
Yeah, for sure. I had to take, but I was pretty glad to be able to take it since it was like the first women's kind of match like that. I was okay with it.
Would you do it again if you could?
Oh my God. Ask me once.
So
I've been wrestling so long, and then like if I went back like right into that, it would be terrible.
oh yeah, I could just imagine, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to, you can't really get used to, honestly. I just cannot imagine, regardless of how much ring shape you're in and all that kind of stuff. But with like COVID and there not being a lot of wrestling out, especially here in Maryland, like, just putting your body through that right now. Because Gia, she had told me she went back to training after months of not doing anything, and when I saw her like a few weeks ago, she could barely walk. Like, I just know, like, taking them bumps and all is just no joke.
Like taking bumps, like it's hard on your body and stuff. I went back like a little bit after COVID, but I was doing CrossFit like all throughout that time. So like conditioning wise, it wasn't bad, but like just bumping, like my neck was sore the next day, like everything, like, you know, you're still going to be sore. It's a physical, you know, sport.
And you don't really, as a fan, you're not going to really realize that until you actually start talking to all the wrestlers and all that, because too many people, think of it as like, oh, it's fake, but it's really not. You're really slamming, people on the ground. And as like a fan going to the actual events, because when I watch wrestling on TV, there's a big crowd and all. You don't really hear a lot of the things when you're actually there live. When you get slammed on that mat, it is loud. Like you don't realize there's a big, piece of wood under there. You think, oh, it's just like padding or something like that. No.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you do to keep yourself in such good ring shape?
I typically do CrossFit. That's like my go-to. I find that it's what I enjoy the most. I'm going to the gym with my boyfriend, so we've been like lifting and stuff. But I have been looking at some CrossFit gyms recently, so they're just expensive. So since I moved, I'm in an area like I'm not familiar with at all, so I'm trying to figure out like, oh, where's like a good place to go to, what's a good price and stuff. Where like back home I had like my own CrossFit like person, and so.
So explain to me, because this may sound like a dumb question, on what exactly is CrossFit?
It's kind of like, it's just like very intense like training, I feel like. So typically I guess I could run you through like kind of a workout, but it's like typically at the beginning your warm up is going to be like, air squats, push-ups, like the bike and stuff. But you're going to do like multiple rounds in like 7 minutes. And then you'll go into like some strength training, try and hit like 1 rep max, try and do like a lot of heavier lifting. And then you'll go into some skill work, so like pistol squats and stuff. And then you finally do like the actual workout. And by the time you get to the actual workout, you're already like so exhausted, but the actual workout just like breaks you. There's so many people that are just laying on the ground. Like I've done that before, because it's so like, I just get so tired and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just went through this. And the warm up is like always challenging, but when you get to the actual workout, it's nothing compared to like that.
Well, it definitely sounds like something that is not for me. I can't do those intense workouts. I'm more of a cardio person. I like to go for walks and jogs. I can't do that intense stuff. It's just too much for me, especially now.
It's like cardio mixed lifting. That's
Hmm.
how it is, like, in a way. But it's like you need a whole different level of cardio, I feel like.
Yeah, like for me, I don't like lifting in general, but like when I do my cardio, I don't like to do anything else. Like I just like to do my jog, and then after that, I'm just physically drained. Sometimes, like after my jog or something, I'll come home and do like push-ups or something like that. But I don't really like the mix it kind of thing. Like I do this, then I'll rest for 5 minutes, drink some water, then I'll do this. That's the kind of person I am. When I actually do it, I need to get back into doing that stuff soon.
I feel like a lot of people are getting back into it, so.
Yeah, because like I feel like with COVID, it gives you the opportunity to kind of go out and do more, because a lot of people couldn't really go out and
Mhm.
do stuff. So, well, at least for me, because I have a nice lake by my house, so I could easily just go jog there. But like I know
Right.
gym wise, you really couldn't do anything. I still wouldn't do anything, but like it gives you more time to do these kind of things. But with everything going around in the world, it just kind of like sucks the motivation out of you at the same time.
So during like beginning of COVID, like when gyms originally closed, um, my boyfriend and I got like bands and stuff and started like working out that way, but like at home kind of variations. But that was definitely not fun for me. And then I went running a little bit, and then I was just like, let me contact my coach, because he started to like open up his CrossFit gym. So I contacted him, and then he was like, yeah, if you come in at like 7 a.m. every day, there's going to be 3 of you in there, and it's going to be like an hour workout, like 5 days a week. And I was like, all right, let's go. And I went. It was brutal at first, because like, from being like conditioned, and I was out for a while too, right before COVID hit. So it was just like difficult to like be out, come back for like a month or two, and then COVID hits and it's all gone.
So when was your last match?
I think whenever, I don't even know. I think it's when I faced Shaza. No, my first match back was that chairs match. I'm trying to think if I had a match after that. I don't think I did.
Wow, that was almost a year ago because I remember that was around like the end of January. So wow.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I can't remember if I did anything in February. I don't know.
Because I know like beginning of March is when everything like started shutting down, so it's kind of really wasn't a big window in between those two events. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be fun seeing you back in the ring. I know MCW, they haven't done anything since I think it was anniversary, the one with Kurt Angle, so that it's been kind of almost a year since then too.
Yeah, everything, it just feels so long since like been going on.
Because I know a lot of events are doing stuff outdoors. I don't know if Maryland can, because every state's different. But me and my wife, we've been traveling to New Jersey and going to some of their outdoor events, which has been actually really fun. But now it's getting colder, so you really can't do that. So the next time we can actually go to an event we don't even know, it sucks. But it was nice because our the last event we had went to was actually in March, like the week before everything closed down. So we had this large gap of not being able to go out anywhere. Then we finally went to an event in July. It was like, wow, wrestling, this is so cool. Can't wait to start doing this regularly again, because we got in a habit. We were going to MCW every month. That's when we like got really addicted to indies wrestling, and then COVID just like ruined it because we had all these big plans of going here and there and meeting this wrestler and that wrestler and stuff like that.
I remember what you mean. My dad used to take me down to stuff like that when I was younger, and it was fun when I did it,
Yeah, it's like it's a whole different experience than like WWE and all, because you get that more of the one-on-one interaction with the wrestlers and stuff like that. You don't get that in WWE, and I thought that was really cool. Like the one thing that really attracted me to MCW was like a lot of the wrestlers actually walk around and interact with fans prior to the show, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's that world that I think it just builds more of a connection, like with the people that are actually watching the show. And there's a lot of people, believe it or not, that want to like come up and say something, even if it's something small, but they always just want to like talk.
Yeah, it was so different for me because I've never when I went back in December, I'd never seen anything like that. So I'm like, wow, like what do I say? Like, 'cause you don't really get these opportunities with like WWE wrestlers. So I remember I went up to Gia and talked to her for like a quick minute, and then after that next time it was like 10 minutes, and then so on and so forth. But it like you said, it like builds that connection, and it takes things to a different level, and like a lot of fans like that. So that's just like a really cool and neat experience that you can get at indie events, especially like MCW, because I mean every promotion's different. You don't really necessarily like the other events I've gone to. There's the meet and greet tables, but you don't really see just wrestlers for free, not even trying to sell stuff, interacting, and I think that's a really nice thing that a lot of the wrestlers there do.
I agree.
So ever since I've been a fan and going to MCW, you've been a heel. But when you were a face, is that something that you did at all?
It was. I actually started wrestling for MCW. I was a face. This part that you've seen recently of me being a heel, that's my first time being a heel. So if I'm being honest, I prefer a heel, but that's me personally.
Yeah, I could just imagine it being fun being the bad guy.
Yeah. It's difficult to go out there like your first match, and if people don't know who you are, you can't really expect them to like you right away, but it's easy to go out there if it's the first time you've ever seen someone and make someone not like you. It's just so much easier.
So what about like, other than it kind of like being easier, what about being a heel do you like better than being a face?
I like the interaction that I get within the crowd. Like, I know, like, I can just, like, upset people. It sounds bad. But I like enjoy it because I get people like riled up and stuff, and I'm just like, that's that kind of connection that I felt when I was a kid and I would go to these events or watch wrestling on TV. So being able to give that to those other people or those other kids, like, it's just exciting, and easier to do currently as a heel. And I am sure when I wrestle longer, like being a face and stuff, like it'll come a lot easier, but just the crowd interaction, honestly.
Yeah, and I know at MCW a lot of the fans like really get into it, especially with the heels, just like the chants they do and the stuff they yell, and it seems pretty fun. I mean, some fans, I think go a little overboard with some of the stuff, but I do like the fact that they're into the match and stuff like that. So it's and a lot of the heels and all, they really get into it with the crowd too, which I think is even better.
It's like so fun whenever the crowd is like good and like yelling at you. Like it makes it so fun to do.
Mm-hmm. As long as they're being appropriate, of course. But yeah, I'm not one to really like yell or anything like that. I guess you could say I'm kind of shy when I'm there. I just sit there and enjoy the match and all that kind of stuff. But I've always told Gia, like, if she ever turns heel, I want to do that thing where like I'm videoing and saying you suck, and like she takes the phone and like videos herself and says something there, because I know one of my friends, she wrestles like around the Louisiana area, and she says that she's done that with fans who not people that were her friends though, but some fan was giving her a hard time. So she snatched the phone out of his hand and like recorded herself like talking, smack to him. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, I want to be that fan, but I only want to do it with a wrestler that I know, just so I feel more comfortable with the idea. But I think that sounds like a fun thing to do.
I've actually never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't imagine it happening often. Like, I never even thought about it until my friend Cameron told me that she did it with a fan. I was like, that seems kind of cool. I want to do something like that.
Yeah, I know that. That's cool.
Yeah, if I were you, I wouldn't do it with a random person that you don't know how they'll react. But if you have that friend in the crowd, and it could kind of go into your heel character and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a lot of echoes and stuff, and like I was back home, they'll come and support me. So
Oh, there you go. So now the next question I have for you, what is I know you kind of basically kind of gave it away, but like what your favorite thing about like being a wrestler and all that, but what's your least favorite thing about being a professional wrestler?
Okay, I love traveling for sure, like going to the different states and seeing the new areas, like just different environments, seeing how people are. I am horrible at driving at night. Like, I fall asleep when I drive at night. Like, I hate that part of wrestling, like the driving if it's like super late, because I'm so unsafe, basically. Like, it's like,
Yeah, I know that part's like cannot be fun. All the traveling. Some people might like it, but at late at night, and I can kind of relate because about 2 years ago I was working overnight at my work. So on one of my days off, my wife and we traveled up to Jersey to do a meet and greet with Becky Lynch, and we were on so after we did it, we were on our way home. It's like a good like 3-hour drive. Because of the fact that my body wasn't used to kind of like being up during those times, I'm falling asleep on the way home, and I have the window open, cold air blowing in my face, and she's really scared. She's like, "That's just stop at a hotel." I'm like, "No, I'm doing this. It was scary, but oh my goodness, I could just imagine, like doing stuff like that on a regular basis.
if you chew up because you're like, I don't know, you're like doing something, so you can like, the ice is cold, so you have like that reaction, and you're like chewing it too. So that's what helps me.
One thing I realized too that helps kind of like get you a little bit awake is eating something spicy, because usually I like to stay up late at night on weekends and play games. There's these like haunted ghost pepper chips that I like to eat. When I eat them, I get that like adrenaline going through, and it's like that's a good thing to do. I mean, it's kind of not the most recommended thing to do when you're driving, but it does wake you up.
All right.
So now this is the question that I normally ask at the very beginning, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit, and I really wanted to hear your what you had to say about that chairs match. So what got you into becoming a professional wrestler?
So basically, my dad, I was my dad was a single parent, so we bonded a lot over watching wrestling and stuff. So I always had a liking to it when I was younger, and I'd get so involved and stuff. But I think I like really realized when I was in like beginning of high school, maybe. I was trying to think of a career to go for, because you know how in high school they're always like, oh, you have to know what you want to do now, even though it's your freshman year. But yeah, so I was just like, I don't even know what I'd want to be. Like, do I want to be like a journalist? Do I want to be this? So I would tell myself like, oh, you just want to be the person that interviews people like at shows and stuff. But then I was like, who am I kidding? Like, I'm not going to want to do that. I want to like dress up, and I want to go out and wrestle, and I want to, you know what I mean? It's just, that's how I went about it. And I told my dad, and he looked at schools actually. So we looked at some schools in Florida first. I was like going to go to Florida, but then he found MCW, and we're like, oh, well, that's pretty close. Like, you might as well just give it a shot. And so I just saved up. I actually saved up like all the money to join the school, and then yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like, I've heard a lot of good things about MCW's training, and MCW in general is, it seems to be like one of the higher up like indie promotions, which is really good. So that's definitely, from what I heard, it's a good school to train. Outside of MCW, I've heard a lot of good things about the schools in like Texas and all, but nowhere really else. I didn't even know there was a school in Florida, honestly. But I think that's really cool that your dad actually was helping you out with it. A lot of the times when people tell their parents, I want to be a wrestler, they just kind of laugh in their face or something like that, having that support system is always good, because, when I was growing up, I played baseball and I was good at it. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. Instead of my mom supporting me, she did the whole, oh, you know how hard it is. 1 out of 1,000 people get it. And she's not lying, but at the same time, it's like, you should encourage your kid to, live their dreams, especially, considering I was actually pretty good at it. And of course I ended up not really doing it. I got, when I got in high school, I just kind of, other things became more of an interest than baseball. But yeah, that's really cool that your dad was, helping you out with that.
Yeah, he's always been really supportive with like wrestling. Like, honestly, I have practice today, so honestly tomorrow he's gonna call me and he's like, how's practice? What'd you guys do? Did you have fun? There'll be stuff like, yes, Dad.
How often does he come to your events?
He goes
Everyone.
Yeah. The only time he does go if it's like really far out, but every MCW show, except I think maybe not the Virginia one. Yeah, but he's at every one normally.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what does your family in general think of you, like, being a professional wrestler and all that?
So my dad loves it. Like, he loved it, like, or honestly, straight from the beginning. And so does my mom, honestly. She tells her classes about it all the time, and it's just like, oh my goodness. So everyone just knows, like, but it's nice though. It's like, I have such a strong support system. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, what a family should do, and I mean, I think that's just a really awesome thing. And, they travel and, go to your events and stuff like that. And you've gotten to be champion as well, which is really cool. So
yeah,
so what's your, like, in wrestling, like, what's your end goal? Like, where do you want to be at, like, the end of your career?
I've been asking my question a lot recently. Honestly, I just want to succeed in a way that makes me happy. I don't quite know what that is. It's not have an end goal of hitting a certain company or something. It's more so like succeeding for myself, like within, like if I'm proud of how I've went or how far I've gone or et cetera, how I am with character development. I really just want to make myself proud along with my family. So I feel like I guess that's my goal in life for wrestling, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just at the end of the day, just being happy doing what you're doing, like, a lot of people think in wrestling, if you're not going WWE, you're failing, and that's not true. You can wrestle in the indies your whole career and have a really successful career. You can make a lot of money on the indies too, depending on your popularity and stuff like that. Like, and there's other promotions too that you could do, Impact, AEW, and those promotions also give you freedom to do things outside of them. WWE isn't necessarily the greatest thing, out there like people think it is, but when you're with them, you're locked into this contract. You have to do this certain amount of dates. You can't even, like, apparently wrestlers can't even like stream on Twitch right now. Like, they really control, and yeah, and that part is sad. I want to hear more about that, but yeah, so I mean, as long as you're happy, I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's my goal. I never want to drag myself through it, like, if I'm not happy with it, because then it's not going to be like the best product I can provide for fans and stuff. And at that point, it's like someone else should be given that opportunity, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, because you could tell when you're watching like TV if a wrestler's like enjoying what they're doing. Like it's hard to hide it, and that's the thing that I say all the time. I love indies wrestling because you could tell, like, you all love doing what you're doing. You have a lot of creative control over your character. You're independent contractors. You could be who you want to be and wrestle when you want to wrestle, and I think that's like really cool, and it's fun for the fans. I've never had so much fun, watching wrestling. Like, it's so much better than even watching WWE, because you can tell like how much fun you all are having, and you all aren't burnt out either, because you're not wrestling 300 plus times a year as well. So I could just imagine going through that, doing matches like 2-3 times a week. Like, that's just insane.
I don't know. That's the goal that I would want it to be, because it's like I do want to family and stuff with my life. I also don't want to be like limping around, like trying to play with like my kids and my grandkids. So it's like, I just have mixed feelings.
Yeah, it's like you see some of like the older wrestlers like Mick Foley and Kurt Angle, how they move around. It's like you don't want to end up like that. Even the Undertaker, I saw on that documentary, I think The Last Ride or whatever it was called, he was doing some kind of workout. His nose was bleeding. It's like, damn, you're breaking down, and it's like sometimes it's your body and your health is more important.
I agree.
So, final question that I have for you. What about yourself that is non-wrestling related that you would want your fans to know about you? That's something that you're like really proud of.
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess I'm a dog mom. I just got a puppy. That's probably like the most exciting thing about me. Like right now, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I have a puppy. Like, let me take care of her, take her everywhere. Like, honestly, she's so adorable. It's supposed to be a Christmas present. My boyfriend bought it for me a little early, like sometime.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you see the right dog, it's not going to be there 2-3 months later. So
she's too cute. Wouldn't have been there.
What kind of breed is it?
She's a toy Pomeranian.
Wow.
So when we got her, she was only 1.9 pounds.
Oh my goodness. My wife loves Pomeranians, and I used to work at a pet hotel, and we got a lot of Pomeranians there, but I've never seen a toy Pomeranian. So I can just imagine how small that is.
Yeah, they said going to be like 6 to 8 pounds. Plus, she was like the rut of the litter. So all of her brothers and sisters were like way bigger than her, but she's tiny, like, compared to them.
So can she like fit on the palm of your hand?
It's so funny when I am driving with her in the car, she sits on my shoulder, and it's just so funny because it's like she'll be looking outside and people will be looking in my car like, what are you doing? But it's like, my dog, she won't sit on my lap. She always climbs up there, and if she sits on my lap or like sits somewhere else, she's crying like nonstop. I'm like, just go up. And then when she sits up there, falls asleep, is silent, like looks around, like she just loves life up there.
Oh my God. So that you're probably gonna think that this is probably disgusting, but I used to have a pet rat. And when I would walk around with it, it would sit up on my shoulder.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people don't like rats, but I thought they're pretty cool. They're not as like disgusting as what people think they are. I mean, if you're looking, seeing them walk around like a gutter and a sewer and stuff like that, yeah. But when you actually get it at like a pet store and all, but the only thing I didn't like about it is they had this really tiny claws and that you would feel like picking on your shoulder. I didn't really like that part, but yeah, that was pretty cool. But I remember like when I was 10 years old, I got a puppy, and I just remember it was like the best feeling in the world. Like you just wanted to spend every minute with it, and
Mhm.
I was so excited to clean up. When it would go poop in the backyard, I would run in with the shovel and stuff like that. I haven't had that feeling in a long time because I have not gotten a puppy since then. But hopefully, sometime when me and my wife move out, because we rent out a basement right now, that we can get her a puppy. I want a Rottweiler. She wants something tiny, like a Pomeranian or a Yorkie, but I want a bigger dog.
My boy's your dog. So we originally were gonna get like a Chow Chow. I don't know if you've seen this. They look like lions, honestly.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
I was like, I don't know. Like, I think I'd be okay with like a mid-sized dog. So we were gonna get like a poodle, and then it was like went to a pet store, and then we saw her, and I was like, oh my god, this is the one. And we both kept looking at her, and we're like, oh my god. And we knew she wasn't gonna be big, but she was too cute to pass up. And my dad picked her out too, and like was playing with her, and then I started playing with her. It just ended like that.
Yeah, see, we went to a pet store by us, and there was like this little tiny Chihuahua, and it really connected with us, and we were trying to get it, but the place that was selling it, they were really, really expensive there. The dog was like over $1,000, and then we're thinking, oh well, we still have to, and then we have to get this and get that. We're like, oh, I can't do it, but
Honestly, our dog was 2,000, so
oh wow. Well, I can
yeah,
imagine because Pomeranians, I think they're pretty expensive. It just
yeah,
depends on the breed and of course where you get it.
yeah. We could have got two, like that was another option. And they were the same price, so it's just kind of like, do we want this one or do we want that? We didn't really know. And then once you start playing with one, it's just,
Yeah, you can't really go back after that.
yeah, you're just gonna nonstop think about them.
But yeah, that's cool. I want to look that up now on Google, toy Pomeranian, because I just want to see how tiny it is compared to a regular Pomeranian. Because I know Pomeranians are like this big.
Yeah, she's super tiny, like maybe 3 pounds now. I really have no idea.
Wow, that is really tiny. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Aria, this was really fun. The fact that we got to talk about puppy dogs, and I've never done that on the podcast. So I think that's really cool.
Right, honestly.
And I thought that was gonna happen because I did a recording with Lady Frost last night, and I saw because she brings her huskies with her sometimes when she travels, and I was expecting her to talk about them and bring them up. So I'm like, I have all this like stuff in my head. Like, okay, we're gonna talk. I need to know what to actually say and talk about these huskies and all that kind of stuff. But it didn't happen. But we talked about dogs on recording with you, so I think that was really cool. And,
That's
and of course, it was fun, getting your insight on, the MCW match as well. Because I heard it from Gia. I wanted to hear it from you.
All right. It was good. Huh.
But yeah, thanks for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling, Aria. It was definitely really fun having you. I feel like I've gotten, a decent amount of the MCW's roster now. So I think that's really cool. There's not many women on, in the MCW, so I got like 2/3 of the women now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so did you want to share any of your social media with the listeners?
I'm on Instagram at _Aria Palmer, and then I'm on Facebook as Aria Palmer. So.
All right, so make sure you all follow her on social media, especially Instagram. And then make sure you give us a sub on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And thank you all for tuning in today. And one last thank you to you, Aria, for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Bye, y'all.